Where are we at? Oh yeah, Comic-Con. What's that smell? It's nerds everywhere. I think I'm going to talk to some of these guys and kind of find out what makes this place so popular and what makes people like me dress up like a fucking idiot.
This game's hard. Bionic Commando is hard.
It's supposed to be hard.
I know. It was a good hard, but like...
Was it?
Yeah.
Good hard?
I'm amazed that I was that good as a kid. One of the things I'm really interested in doing is going back and playing the original Bionic Commando now, because some of the jumps actually seemed trickier than I remember.
I've played the original NES game so many times, and I know it so well. Like, the timing I have down just kind of like, you know, burned in my brain circuitry.
And probably in your hands too.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, the muscle memory.
I don't remember everything about the original Bionic Commando, but I remember that you couldn't change weapons in real time.
Right.
And so the combat is a lot more fun, I think, because you have all these different options.
They've changed the way the weapons work a lot. There
Totally.
are new weapons, there are new mechanisms and mechanics for the weapons, like the rocket launcher. It's totally different. Before, you basically got the rocket launcher and that was all you ever used
never
again,
used anything else
because
ever.
it was basically just like this single shot of pure destruction. Now the rocket launcher is a little hard to aim because it does that kind of curving contrail thing. Also, it has splash damage, so if you stand close to someone, like if you're in a bad guy's face and you shoot them, you're probably going to die too.
Yeah, totally.
So you have to kind of rethink how you approach things. But there are a lot of behaviors that have been modified for this game. Like in the original, if there were guys behind a barricade and you wired up behind them, they just keep shooting off in the other direction. Now, as soon as you come up behind them, they'll immediately jump around to the other side of the barricade.
Of course, you can pick up the barricade and throw it at them as well.
There are a lot of other really great changes to the game too. You don't have to earn continues. You just, you know, you die, you continue. You don't have to go to those top-down scenes. Now you just do those, I don't know, just for the hell of shooting people top down. When you go into an area, you don't have to choose a communicator. You get a set of chips, and once you have a chip, it's always active. So you don't have to worry about getting into a communications room and saying, I didn't bring the alpha communicator and I need the alpha communicator, and then warping back out and coming back in. So it takes out a lot of the tedium. Basically, once you have something in your inventory, it's always equipped.
Yeah.
So once you get the iron boots, you always have iron boots. Once you have the... Actually, you don't have health pills in this, do you? I haven't seen them.
There are health pills. I don't want to spoil the joke. There's a funny joke. If you're familiar with the original Bionic Commando, there's lots of little in-jokes in the game about kind of the poor translation of the original game.
One of the new things is And it's a little thing, but in the communicator thing, the new hacking minigame, once you figure it out, it's a nice, I don't know, change of pace.
It kind of symbolizes everything that this game does right over the original. Because in the original Bionic Commando, you would go into the communication room, you could talk to your allies, you could talk to the or you could spy on the enemies, and occasionally, randomly, no one knew how, you would sometimes trigger an alarm by spying,
Yeah.
and you'd be attacked. Now, you don't have that problem because you go in, you play the minigame. If you succeed at the minigame, then you can spy on them without any problem.
In Area 4, I found like a secret wall that I could destroy. It took me like 20 tries to make all the silly jumps that I needed to make to get up to this little secret items, but I think that the replayability is really going to be there because there's so many secrets to find in all the stages.
Well, you know where I mostly die isn't in the levels, it's at the bosses, because the bosses are new.
They feel like they were made in the 80s. The mechanics, and everyone has their own weaknesses, and they can be difficult, but once you figure out how to take them out, it's pretty easy.
That's exactly right.
It's very trial and error. Like,
Yeah.
you struggle a lot your first time, but kind of sort of figure out, oh, here's what I do, and then next time you actually apply that, and then, oh, there's a second phase.
Right.
So you die, and then you try it again, and you finally pull everything off the right way.
But some of the bosses do repeat, but at least when they repeat in this one, they add a new mechanic to it. So every time you do what you did last time, but you also have to figure out the next step.
Dwarf again.
There are more than one dwarf in the game. Yeah, it is dwarf central.
Co-op's obviously the biggest addition.
It's funny because I didn't think that I would care. Last night when I was playing something, Cesar was like, "Hey, do you want to play co-op?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I kind of just want to like learn to play again."
Right.
But then once you and I had played a bunch of single player on our own, so once we hopped in co-op, I was actually pretty impressed at how fast and awesome it was to go with two guys flank the troopers.
Exactly.
We
There's all
ran
kinds of
through
little
the
strategic
stages
things you
so
can do.
fast.
Obviously, when you drop down, you have this. It goes to the split screen, and the transition between the normal screen and split screen is a little slower than I would like it to be. I like the fact that it does it, so that you don't have to be split screen the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever
And it's
mechanic.
really intelligent about split screening too, because if the level is primarily a vertical level, then it's going to split. Well, actually, it's going to split vertically.
Right.
So you have like two tall screens, but if it's a mostly horizontal level, then it'll split top and bottom.
But one of the things we did run into is when you're playing those top-down levels, the split screening is really bad.
Oh, the top down?
Yeah.
They shouldn't split screen at all in those stages,
Right.
I think, personally.
They just shouldn't let you go further than you can.
They should lock everyone into the screen.
And one of the other things is the fact that the bosses are a little more difficult. They'll kind of change their behavior patterns, whether you're playing it single player or co-op.
And also, the difficulty level affects how the game plays. Like, there are different patterns and different enemy behaviors depending on which difficulty level you choose.
I kind of knew that I was gonna like this. You could tell from the videos that it was gonna stay true to the the game. Yeah, they
Right.
really get Bionic Commando.
There are a lot of good remakes out there, but then there are just a few that are kind of, the absolute pinnacle, like Metroid Zero Mission.
Yeah, that's another
Mega
good
Man
one.
Powered Up. I feel like this fits up, in that pantheon.
I agree. I mean, I know it's not possible, but I wish Blaster Master could get the same treatment. That's the one that I really would like to play that does the same sort of thing next, but I don't know
but
who
it
wants
had a
to-
sequel on PlayStation.
I know.
You should go play it. It'll make you cry.
We are now in the cesspool of nerdom. I've never seen so many nerds in my life. If an explosion were to hit this convention center, I think the nerd population would disseminate. I don't even know if that's a real word. I think that guy just took a picture of me. It's like, why wouldn't he just come up to me? I mean, obviously I'm pretty hot. I mean, like, maybe he just wants to touch my junk. It's probably my junk, right? I mean, look at that. Oh, it's so nice. It's made out of robo parts, of course, but like, sometimes I like to grease it up. I mean, I'm not, okay, I don't want to say that I grease up my junk. I'm just saying, like, I have to sometimes, because I'm not going to talk about this anymore.
Why are you dressed like that?
Why am I dressed like that? Why do you think I am?
Because you're cold?
There's a lot of people out here, they don't know who I am, which I find completely ridiculous. So I want you guys look very smart. So who do you think I'm dressed as?
Who do I think you are?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
that is a good question.
I can't say.
Come on, dude. You know who I am.
Who are you?
Really, you're taking too long.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
No idea.
No idea?
No idea.
No clue? You don't know who I am.
Sorry, I'm not good at this stuff.
You're not me because I'm me.
Yes.
I'm
What?
going to interview you. Why are you wearing that silly, ridiculous outfit?
I'm cold. I need to wrap my.
He is cold, lady. Okay?
Yeah, I'm cold, lady.
Yeah. He is super. Be quiet. He is super, 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 super cold.
So, Braid. Yes. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Like, even the times where I was really fucking frustrated, I always felt like a solution was just around the corner, because it always kind of was.
Well, I think what the game does really successfully and why it's not such a frustrating experience, I mean, it is at times, but it takes these mechanics that are really foreign or really strange when you first start using them, and you know, Jonathan Blow kind of said it as he's taking these ideas and putting it in a really safe place, kind of by like having this game inside this sort of traditional platformer package. You feel like you can solve it because you know where you are.
And even the simple things like just running and jumping and like climbing once in a while, like all those things we've known since Mario, and he knows that, and that's why there's so many like Mario references.
Right.
But having those simplistic elements to work with in the couple like different temporal rules you have,
Right.
those allow for like much more complex things, even though the basic rules that you're working with are always really simple. There's one different rule in each of the 6 worlds, and that alone makes for some like crazy stuff. Earlier in the game, like going through it, I was like seeing some pieces that I like. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get that. I must get some sort of time power later that I come back. And I kept thinking that for like the first half of the game. And then eventually I realized I was like, no, it's just really hard. Like I just really gotta like figure it out.
Well, and I also noticed that any time that I thought that I could have some sort of hardcore platforming solution to a puzzle, I was usually going about it the wrong way. You know, if I was trying to, there is some kind of, you know, difficult platforming elements, but nothing that was near as hard as some of the jumps that I was trying to make. You know, it's like, and I would get there and like, there would be like a pixel and he'd like get there and bounce off. And I try again, he'd get there and bounce off. And I just keep trying, like, I can get it. Did you realize that people would try to make some of these really difficult jumps and you tuned it just so they almost could but couldn't?
Part of the puzzle design was actually to figure out where it looked like you might be able to make that jump or whatever, and just move things further apart, right? Just make it clear that that's not the right way to do it. Well, and they might feel mean like when you're just sitting there, but I think that after you figure them out, or after you get them spoiled on a forum, which nobody should do, play the puzzles. The thing about the puzzles is they're all fair, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not actually trying to be hard. They're not trying to fool you. You can make any puzzle in a puzzle game arbitrarily hard by adding lots of switches and levers and like, oh, you open this and it closes that, and these things are, you have to figure out the right sequence of stuff. And Braid is not like that, right? It's as simple of a situation as I could possibly devise that still retains the idea.
Do you guys have a favorite kind of time mechanic? Because there's the stage where when you move to the right, time moves to the right. When you move to the left, time moves back. And then there's, you know, the ring dropping one, which creates like a bubble of slowdown that gets more intense as you go closer to the ring.
One where you basically plan your future actions, because after you rewind, your shadow essentially goes and does them.
Yeah.
As well. I think that was probably. I feel like I almost enjoyed that most because I never fully understood it. I still did things that I was like, wait, how did I do that? How did that happen?
Is that what you meant by some of the puzzles that you solved accidentally?
Yeah, well, yeah. That was actually, I think when that happened was in that world.
There are a couple of puzzles in the game where it seems like the way to solve them is through a precise timing, trial and error. Like there's this one with 3 plants that you can like slow down, and guys that go through it. And so a lot of, there's actually a very elegant solution to that puzzle that requires no precise timing whatsoever.
I think that's the difference between, like, it's not that it's overwhelming. Like you said, in some games you walk in and there's lots of buttons and things, and immediately the room is like, oh god, where do I start? You don't just sit and think about it, you just gotta go start, for me at least, start doing things and rewinding time and kind of see how the actions work.
Well, so the thing about that one puzzle is that kind of brute force clumsy solution is kind of the obvious thing. Like by the time you get there, you know what the tool set is for the world, and you see what's happening and you're like, oh, I probably have to do this. But like what I wanted to do, like that is a really exemplary example of of a puzzle that has a lot of depth in the game. Because I know that some people have figured out the right solution to that, because one of the things that the speed run is for, right after you finish the full game, you can go speed run some individual levels and then the entire game, and there's a challenge time that you're trying to beat. In order to beat the challenge times, you have to figure out something about the puzzles that you didn't necessarily understand before.
Well, it is interesting that you brought up that puzzle, because that specific puzzle was one that I was going to bring up in a critique, because I was going to say that all the other puzzles that I played felt precise. They felt like they had a method to them, and that one, it did feel messy. I felt like there was no way to grasp control of it. I just had to keep messing with it.
It makes for a worse first player experience, but it's more depth. And I wanted the game to be about depth and discovery. Right. So I don't know how many players will get that, but even now, after it's done, there's still stuff that would have been on my to-do list, right? But it's really small items, and that's what I'm really satisfied with. It's stuff that doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like all the things that I wanted to get in there to bring out the gameplay are in there. And
well, that's the case with any artistic endeavor, though, right? It's never actually finished. It's just when you decide to stop working on it.
Yeah, so the PC version is going to be released in a few months, or maybe hopefully sooner than that, and I'll probably sneak in a couple of things.
Right.
Like a little, I don't know what.
Right.
But I'll take a look at the list.
I'm curious, going back to just talking about when you were initially started work on the game. One of my favorite things now is it feels very much, especially like other recent downloadable games like Pixel Junkie, which we were just talking about that I played, where it's very much like the aesthetic is inseparable from just the gameplay, really, and also in this case the narrative. And I'm curious if it started as just a purely like game concept, or if the more interesting ideas behind it, if those came first, and then it was like, well, how do I want to structure a game around it?
That we had a thought process when we talked about the themes of the story, the introductory text before each world, and what it was about, and each one has a different theme, and you can ponder that. And I certainly didn't think about the game as having I can't conceive of a version of Braid that would actually have a linear logical story, and I didn't, in the process of helping create it, construct sort of like fill in the background and construct a linear logical story. I enjoy the ambiguity.
There's a lot of stuff in the art that nobody's mentioned on the message boards or in the reviews, and that I'm hoping that people start to go, wait a minute. There are definite themes that we started with, right? Like, here's what the mood is of the gameplay, and here's kind of what the theme is of the story element, right? Because those were both there before we did it was all programmer art, while those were there.
Right.
Maybe I'll send you guys some screenshots. They're awesome.
That would be cool.
They are cool.
Oh, have you seen the even older ones, though, than the ones in Art of Braid?
I think so, yeah.
Like
the one with he has a red hat or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the one where he's fighting the boss character.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good. You draw his mouth with an ellipse tool or something, and
it was like MS Paint or something. It was just
great.
The reward system in the game is your puzzle pieces. That's your entire thing you're trying to collect, and then in your overworld, all your pieces come together into these portraits.
The picture, the puzzle that you put together on World 2, the painting that you put together on World 2, does look like a portrait of David Hellman. Yeah. So I'm wondering, was that intentional?
Wait, in World 2? Wait, which world?
Is it World 2? Yeah, World 2.
This is a really good denial, actually. It's like, I don't know which world you're talking about.
What's a world?
Yeah, I don't know. What's a... that was not intentional. No. Answer, no. Okay. Answer, maybe I'm that narcissistic that I always draw myself. I don't know.
What did you think of the end? You went all the way through the epilogue and everything, right?
Yeah. I think the ending before the epilogue is maybe the most brilliant ending I've seen in the game. It closed and opened because of how it's structured. Right. It bookended the game in one level. On the way back, she's doing everything she can to stop you.
Right.
And it's so brilliant just how it works in the way there you don't notice that could happen in the environment, but on the way they actually is dropping the ladders away from you and shutting doors so you can't climb up and trying to kill you in pits and drop chandeliers on you, and then the way that the dialogue is similar at the very end. She jumps into the arms of the other guy, and that is also one of, even though I'm not fully sure why, it's one of the most heartbreaking things I've happened in a game.
Well, and I think it was the chandelier falling that clued me into that kind of stuff too, because there's no reason for it to fall. Right. I mean, because you just go by it before, and it's like on the way back, it's like, oh.
You can't start to really analyze it until you've put all the pieces together. No pun intended, really, but once you've seen the pictures, once you've read all the books and all the text that's in it, it's only, and you really played through all the levels, it's only at that point that you can start to come to any sort of conclusion.
Well, and I actually went through all of that stuff forward and backward, and the kind of interpretation that I got from the whole thing, and this is totally subjective, so who knows.
Sure.
And Tim, the character, is working on something that he's really passionate about. He has this dream that he's trying to achieve. And I think this dream that he's conflicted between this dream that he's trying to achieve and what he has to do to get there, and this girl who has the potential to be everything he ever wanted in a girl. And he's trying to do both at once. He's trying to have the girl and he's trying to go after his dream, and they both ultimately fail.
Right. The conclusion I came to, which I mentioned in my review as well, is I think the final thought and what the last level demonstrates is that time, how we know it, really isn't malleable. And despite the fact that that's what the game is about, is manipulating time, when it comes down to it, it isn't. And that's a hard lesson, and that's what he goes through in the course of the game.
Everything at the end is in a state of just complete disarray. You're seeing bits and pieces of other levels, so it's almost like showing the consequence of the actions of constantly manipulating time and constantly doing everything for this sort of selfish reason of just obtaining what you want. You're manipulating this whole world around you, and it's like that end result when everything's done, when there's no more puzzles to solve, you just kind of see this almost destruction that was caused as an after effect of what you did in the game.
Yeah. And right at the end, the castle blocks that are built out of the icons for each level, I think is trying to say, here's the past in his life, here's all the mistakes that he's made, and now he started to build his castle, for his princess based off the mistakes in his past.
And he's kind of right back where he started.
Yeah.
But again, it's a bit more complete than it was now, though.
Right.
I mean, now his home is something that he can, his thoughts are collected in, and he can kind of live his life from there.
Yeah. It's almost like he found peace, just not in the way that maybe he thought he was going to.
Yep.
We just talked about an ending to a video game. Do you believe that?
I didn't hear about this game at all until it was 2 weeks out coming out, and Nick was like, do you want to play it? And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then I saw it and I was like, holy shit, this looks on par with screens of Silent Hill 5 and stuff. The fact that a downloadable game looked as nice as it did, that totally blew me away. The new one has awesome characters. The voice acting is top notch.
Yeah, we've been playing the Blu-ray version,
which has a different subtitle name.
New translation. Which is interesting too, because that's a good title for it, because the story and the characters, while it is not Siren 1, but the story is very similar to Siren 1. It has a lot of the same beats. When you learn how to vision jack in Siren Blood Curse feels like when you learn how to vision jack in the original Siren.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way, and it sort of has that Silent Hill parallel to me, which is you played the original Silent Hill, then you played 2, and you're like, oh, here I am at the hospital again. Yeah. You're like, this is the hospital part, but if you love it, you still love it the second time around.
Right.
Especially because this time it's done so much better.
Yeah. Well, and that's not the only Silent Hill parallel either. They seem to have the same enemies coming after you.
Yeah, just freaky, fucked up creatures.
I think more so than what I remember of Siren 1, even when you're in the hospital and there's the twitchy upside down walking
the spider
things. I'm like, man, this is such a Silent Hill creature.
The fact that they are so creepy, and then you can sight jack them, and then you hear them talking, they're talking about daily things. Yeah, they're like, oh, where is he? And you're like, but it's not just like a faceless zombie. It's like this thing that is like semi-sentient. That just makes it all the more creepy that they're like these zombies, but they're still like totally like halfway doing their daily
Right.
living
Well,
thing.
it's like they all think they're still alive for some reason or another.
They just want to kill everything that's not a zombie.
And I think that's kind of one of the interesting things. Like they play with that. Like I don't want to say too much and spoil anything, but there are parts when you think that the character you're doing something with is not a zombie, and then it turns out that they might be. You know, it's like they play with things like that, and I think that it's pretty interesting.
There are times like things would happen in the storyline and I'd be like, I don't think I'm ever going to really understand. Like in the ending of this game, it is seriously one of the most bizarre endings to a game I've ever seen.
One of the things that the old Sirens did well, and this one continues, and I think to great effect, is that, you know, you play as all these different characters throughout the course of the game. And so you have completely different skills and abilities, weapons, etc. When you're playing as the different characters. And when you're playing as this tiny girl, you don't have any weapons at all, and you just basically have to try to escape using only your vision jacking. Whereas, like, if you're playing as, I don't know, like a different character, the teenage boy or whatever, then you have tons of weapons. I mean, at some point,
it's completely empowering when you play as him because he can just murder everyone.
And that felt totally different to me than what I was used to in Siren.
Yeah.
Like in Siren, I was avoiding everything at all costs, but in the new Siren now, I think you can actually, depending upon what character you're playing, you can really kill the zombies.
See, but yeah, that's the thing too that I guess that people should know is that it's not like Resident Evil, like where. Like, if they had made the knife superpower in Resident Evil, it kind of made the game not scary because you could literally kill every zombie and they didn't come back. You know, that's the thing in Siren is that they're always going to stand up again.
And it kind of ruins some of the tension for me sometimes, but it actually turned out to be kind of a relief.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, because they broke it up. Like, the next level you might be playing as someone who can't attack at all, so you're like, thankfully, I didn't have to go through that for, like, forever.
Yeah, I think it's a positive where it should, you think ordinarily that it might be a negative.
The episodic nature of it plays into that as well because it's so heavy and so oppressive and so stressful when you're playing this game that when you're done with an episode and the ending scene rolls, several times I was like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, that is one thing I thought they did really well in this was the presentation of making it like a miniseries on a TV show. Like yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly like how Lost, like the name pops up. Like yeah, it has like this trailer leading into it, and all of a sudden the name pops up, and you're like, oh shit, I'm about to do this.
Yeah.
And then at the end when it's like next time on the next episode, and it has like that little tiny trailer playing, and you're like,
I mean, it's not episodic gaming in the dictionary definition that we know episodic gaming. I mean, we're getting it all at once.
Yeah, it's not like Sam and Max style.
It's not like that, but. That said, I think that episodic gaming is perfect for horror because of all the things that Matt just said. You know, it's the type of game that you only really want to take in small chunks at a time.
I'm not a survival horror game player. You know, I couldn't deal with Resident Evil's controls. It bugged the shit out of me. I generally don't like horror as a genre, like because it does affect me, and it affects me in ways that I don't like. But this game, I guess I feel that maybe I'm just empowered enough at certain times, and because of the breaks, I feel like I'm going to make it through it, and it feels just, it's so solid. I want to be in the story. I want to know what's happening to these guys. I want to know everything about this town.
I am glad that the controls were mostly solid, too. I mean, they do this thing where they kind of mostly lock the camera behind you when you're in third person, but then they give you the option to go to first person, which... is, you know, I just happen to like first-person perspective in games pretty
still
much
not
in general.
Standard first-person.
No. I mean, it's Japanese-style first-person.
But it's still helpful to like check things out occasionally and get a bearing for what's going on.
But unlike some first-person view perspectives in third-person action games, like you can move, you can walk, and stay in first-person. So it is like I could play in that view perspective for extended periods of time, and the game was still fun and playable.
It was really compelling the way that you could dig into these different pieces of people's pasts, you know, and in Bella's diary, and they find a page of the diary, and then that's added on to the diary, and all this stuff. It just adds more to the story and more to the people. Like Saiga, you figure out stuff about him,
and it's only there if you go in and read it. I mean, the storyline is there, like complete on its own without doing that. But yeah, you do get little glimpses into like maybe understanding why that guy like acted weird towards you in the scene, and you're like, he was a dick.
Right.
You're like, well, he was a dick because you don't know what he was going through up until this point. I think if people like any like person that really likes Story Horror, they should get their hands on it and play it like now. I mean, the downloading all the like, what is it, 12 episodes is a little annoying, and it does take a long time because you have to install them individually, but personally I still feel it was like more than worth it. I mean, Silent Hill 2 set the standard for like what Japanese horror games should be like for me, but you know, I am curious to see like how Silent Hill 5 being done by Americans ends up, you know, comparing
to a game actually done by Japanese. So you want to know if the Americans can rip off the Japanese better than the Japanese can do it themselves.
I would definitely like to do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Tell us what this constellation means.
Yeah, dude,
Oh, dude, I have no idea.
What game is
I was
that?
trying. That's
Braid?
Braid.
Is that like the end?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've all.
Yeah, this
we've
is
played
like
it.
and everything.
Spoilers.
No, man, I have no idea. That whole constellation thing, I tried to figure it out because everything else in the stage is like all the paintings and everything I think are totally interpretable in various kinds of ways, like any good art is. But the constellation, I don't get. I don't get it at all. What did you think of the end?
We rejoin our highly reflective hero.
How long have you guys been here at Comic-Con?
Since this morning.
This morning? Well, you're only here for one day?
We're coming back tomorrow.
Oh, thank God you're coming back tomorrow. I thought you guys were like super nerds because you got, you know, the Turtle Power shirt, the Tetris kind of blocky tie, and you guys only come for one day. Your nerd value with me. So yeah, so it looks like you came here as Mario's main squeeze, right?
Oh yeah.
But the main question is, where's Mario?
I don't have a Mario. He left me.
That's so sad. I'm kind of getting rust in my eyes. You want to give me a hug? All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay, dude. Hey, Mr. Furry, can we talk to you? Huh? Do you mind if we interview you?
No interview.
No interviews. He doesn't want his name to get out. He's gonna be on like Child Predator next week. Oh, you guys want to fight? You guys want to bring it? Let's go! Oh, jeez! Oh my God! God, get out of here, you hooligans! Oh, Jesus, they knocked off my hat. This Comic-Con is the most violent thing I've been to. I got attacked by hooligans earlier. I gotta get out of here. This is obviously not safe. And yeah, but it was nice talking to you, and I really hope you don't kill anybody.
Will the furry lure the Dork Knight into his van? Will the Dork Knight survive a scuffle with pint-sized blow-up sword-wielding hooligans? Will he become Princess Peach's new plumber? Will he stop acting like a jackass? The answer to all of these questions is no. But tune in anyway. Same dork site, same dork... whatever. This is the internet. It doesn't matter.
Oh, God, I thought the red light was on. Nice try,
I'm
Bertrand.
Jimmy P, and I'm
Check,
here
check,
to say
check.
I love Bionic C in a major way.
Oh, you have that, right?